If you want to send professional invoices, sign contracts, get paid, schedule clients, and automate workflows, all while creating a seamless client experience, you need HoneyBook. Hey, I'm Matthew, and I help independent business owners build a clear, confident, and cohesive brand experience. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to get started with HoneyBook inside of my Beginner's Guide to Success. If you're new here, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so you never miss a future video. Alright, so before we walk through the software, I did want to share a special discount code for you to save on your first year with HoneyBook. Now, full disclaimer, my policy is to only share products and resources that have truly brought me and my students value. So by using my affiliate link, you are supporting my independent business at no cost to you. So thank you. And the best part is that HoneyBook offers a full 7-day free trial, so you can make sure that it's the right fit for you and your business. All right, let's dive into it. Okay, so what exactly is HoneyBook and what does it do? So HoneyBook is the leading client flow management platform that I use to run my independent business. For me, I'm a graphic designer and business coach, and it really transformed the way that I built and deliver my services. So by combining essential tools for client communication, booking, and payments, HoneyBook allows you to manage your front-end client experience as well as the back-end workflows all in one place through a process we like to call your client flow. Now, your client flow is your own unique process of selling and delivering services. It considers all of the steps your clients take, as well as the work that happens behind the scenes in order to move a project forward. Think about from the initial inquiry to delivering your service all the way through offboarding, right? It's not about reinventing the wheel. Instead, you probably already have a client flow in existence. It might just not be organized yet, which is what HoneyBook is here to help you with. So here are a few things that you can do inside of HoneyBook. Number 1, create an on-brand client experience that gets you booked fast. Number 2, send professional invoices that are easy to create and help you get paid on time. Number 3, get paid quickly and securely with online payments, whether it's a one-time payment, a recurring payment, or something broken up into payment plans. HoneyBook has your back. Number 4, produce ironclad contracts that are easy to use, ready to sign, and all online. So no more DocuSign, Google Docs, all the other stuff. It's all inside of HoneyBook. You can also share your availability and get booked, confirm meetings with a smooth, simple scheduler. AKA, no more acuity, back and forth email of sending Zoom links, Google Calendar invites. It's all streamlined in one place. And of course, you can keep leads, clients, and projects organized with a fully customizable pipeline. You can also automate replies, follow-ups, and any old mundane tasks so that nothing gets missed. And of course, you can access data that you need to better understand and optimize your business. Now, I started using HoneyBook approximately 1 year after starting my business, and if I'm being totally honest, it was 1 year too late. If you're like me, you may currently be using spreadsheets and Google Docs and Post-it notes to be able to keep yourself on track with organizing your small business. And I want you to know that it does not have to be that hard. So if you're fed up with tracking your payments and income in a Google spreadsheet, and if you'd so much rather be able to get rid of things like Acuity, DocuSign, PayPal, all these other apps, and just invest in one simple software, keep watching because HoneyBook may be the solution to your problems. In fact, I can promise that it is the solution for any independent business owner looking to put themselves out there with a clear, confident, and cohesive brand experience. So let's flip on over into our screen share for a total walkthrough behind the curtain of HoneyBook. Let's begin with the HoneyBook dashboard, or homepage. Now, this is where you get a bird's eye view of your entire business, from new leads, unread messages, tasks, and even your current bookings for the year. The dashboard is where you can pretty much manage every aspect of your business. It's where you're going to jump off of the diving board into all the other areas. So what I like is I can see all my incoming leads, even from minutes ago, and jump into their project workspaces. I can look at my upcoming calendar. I can create new clients, new projects, anything of that nature. Get a glimpse of unread messages, see some new activity inside of workspaces, a little bit of a payment report, and of course my upcoming tasks. Oh, I got one from November. So the best thing about the HoneyBook dashboard is that it really is that launch pad to other areas. So first, let's go look at our project pipeline, which is one of my favorite aspects of HoneyBook. The project pipeline is where your own unique client flow comes to life. So for me, I can see all of my active inquiries, who I need to follow up with, any proposals that have been sent, and every other step throughout my process, all the way to final delivery. I can also see at a high level an update on projects based on their name, project types, and what's been happening lately, whether it be some updates 3 days ago or an hour ago. I can see that recent activity and jump into a client workspace. Now, a client workspace is where you house all of the communication that you have with your client. Let's dive into it now. Workspaces are what house every single aspect of your client experience and interaction, from an activity feed with all the messages that you sent, to files, payments, details, and more. It's that next level zoomed in to your business and the interactions that you have with your client. So up here, you'll see the project name, project category or type, the date of that project, or any date associated with that project. It could be a discovery call, a consultation, a photo shoot session, as well as a customizable header here. You'll also be able to see who is in the project itself. So do you have one client, two clients, maybe a couple different participants? The cool thing about HoneyBook is that you can not only add clients, but also team members into a space as well. So I could add in my virtual assistant, I could add in one of my junior designers, and we could all be inside of that project together. Now, as I mentioned, there's an activity feed. So anytime I send a message, using one of my great email templates, which we'll talk about later, I'll be able to see that inside of my feed in real time. I'll also be able to know when they've actually opened and read the email, which is super helpful for accurate client communication. On the right side of the screen, this is stuff that's only visible to us, right? So we have the opportunity to schedule a call with someone, like a 1-hour session. I'll show you how easy this is to do. Let's book tomorrow at this time. I'm gonna have it be a Zoom link, and I hit schedule and notify. Bing, bang, boom. We have sent the invite to the client, and I actually just got the notification on my phone because I am the test client. And so the cool thing is that we can not only schedule, we can also upload files, PDFs, or we can also create files. Now, files that we might create might be a contract, invoice, questionnaire, service brochure, or what HoneyBook calls a smart file. And a smart file is essentially any type of file that you want to create. It could be a singular contract, it could be an invoice, a contract, and a questionnaire. Really, whatever would suit your needs as an independent business owner, you can create using a smart file. And as a brand designer, it really warms my heart that you can fully customize this experience to be white labeled for your business, which means your colors, your typefaces, imagery, all that good stuff. It allows your client to recognize your brand, feel like they're in the right place, and honestly create an amazing client experience from start to finish. Now, in addition to files, you can also see what stage in your pipeline this client is in. You can always change these stages. And sometimes you can even have automation set up that if they're in the strategy phase or round one or concepts or whatever you want to call it, there would be automations triggered, which is pretty cool. You can also see your lead source, aka where the client came from, any upcoming scheduled sessions, associated team members in the workspace, track your time, create tasks, and more. So let's say I wanted to have a reminder to follow up with client. I can create this for something that's due on Wednesday. Once that's complete, I can simply check it off my list. It's kind of great because I can look at what's been completed, what's upcoming, and all of this information gets funneled back into that bird's eye view of the dashboard. So you don't have to go into individual projects, you're not checking individual Google Docs or your spreadsheet. You go back to the home page, that dashboard, for that bird's eye view. And if you need to take action on rescheduling a call, replying back to a client, co-signing a contract, you can click in based on the action that you need to take. And of course, HoneyBook is big on automation, basically reducing those repetitive admin tasks like follow-ups, check-ins, or onboarding, offboarding. You can also automate. So the client workspace really is where the magic happens inside of HoneyBook. So let's dive into the next feature I want to talk about, which is lead capture, aka how do we get someone from out there in the world into not only our pipeline, but how do we create a workspace for them? Let's go through it now. When it comes to capturing new leads, we have two options inside of HoneyBook. We can either create a lead form, which is a public-facing smart file or a landing page, where folks can come into your pipeline and take an action like publicly book a call with you, make a payment, submit a deposit, take really further action. Or you can have a little bit of a softer interaction, which is your traditional contact form, and allows folks to enter in their information, fill out a questionnaire, and then that can automate either a response on your end, such as sending back an email or a proposal based on the information that they sent. So this is an example of my contact form here. I'm a big fan of Mad Men, so I use Mad Men characters in all of my examples. So I can have folks fill out their first name, their email, website. They can also select project type. And this is what I mentioned a minute earlier. So let's say I had a specific type of brochure or proposal that I want to send back to folks who are specifically interested in HoneyBook strategy and design. If they selected this, I can set up an automation that would trigger an email response plus a file that pertains to that project type. And then let's say someone inquired about a brand design project, a logo design, right? If they selected branding and design, there'd be a different automated experience set up. Now, it's important to note that automations are not forced on you inside of HoneyBook. It's up to you if you want to use them or not. I do like using them. However, you can also take a more manual approach, take all the information that is sent to you, and then just simply reply back to initiate that conversation. Contact forms are great because you are able to apply your brand, your colors, and really gives you an opportunity to figure out who's contacting me, what's the problem, how could I help them, how did you hear about me, right? So you can track your lead sources and referrals and get people into your pipeline. Now, it's pretty cool because this form can not only be embedded into your website, like on Squarespace, Webflow, Wix, etc. You can also just create a public-facing link using HoneyBook. And it's really great because you don't even need a website. If you're starting your business now, you can just use HoneyBook to get up and moving, get clients into your pipeline, increase that cash flow, and then make a smarter and more wise investment for a website once you actually have a better understanding of who the heck you want to work with and what your process actually looks like. Now let's go back to look at the difference between that contact form and a lead form. So I'm going to go up to Tools, click on Lead Forms, and I'll show you an example for a discovery call that I have. So again, a lead form is a public-facing file that's actually built the same way that HoneyBook constructs their smart files. Remember that smart files are your invoices, contracts, proposals, anything of that sort. And it's really cool because I can set up this to really feel on brand with, again, my typefaces, my color, imagery, all that good stuff. So this is again a public facing file where folks can, I was going to show a preview, but it's easier just to stay in one screen when doing the screen share. So folks can actually book a intro session with me, a free complimentary call, fill out their information, let me know what their pain points are. And then this will automatically, once they've booked their call, create a workspace, send them the Zoom link information, send me and the client reminders about when the call is happening, and really set me up for success, because now I have all the information that I need going into my discovery call inside of HoneyBook. And all the information that we're seeing here gets populated into our client workspace in the details section. So let's go back quickly to this test workspace. If I had filled out information, it would exist in here. So if I clicked on a date saying, what date's your wedding, if you're a wedding photographer or an event planner, what's the address of the event, tell me about the project, the information would show up right here, which is super helpful. And then once I hop on the call with someone, again, that scheduled session that's right here inside of the workspace, I can even keep some private notes like, what's the budget, design considerations, etc. And this is totally private just for me. So I like it that I can see everything all in one place. And remember, the way that you get people into your pipeline and create a workspace like this is either creating a contact form, your traditional inquiry form that can be embedded on your website, or a public link from HoneyBook, or you can create a little bit more of an interactive and actionable experience using a lead form. So people can make a deposit, they could schedule a call with you, really take that initial step without having to contact you first and then you initiate that, which is pretty cool. HoneyBook does a really great job at customizing experiences to fit its users. And while HoneyBook originally started for pretty much like designers, photographers, and wedding pros, the uses within HoneyBook have well expanded outside of those industries. And so I know a lot of folks that are DJs, dog trainers, contractors, professional organizers. It really does run the gamut, and the breadth of clients or industries that utilize HoneyBook is vast and still growing. So next up, I want to walk you through the scheduler, because as I mentioned, folks can actually schedule sessions with you inside of HoneyBook. So let's walk through it now. All right, so this might just be my favorite aspect of HoneyBook, and it's the first feature that I utilized when I set up my HoneyBook account years ago. Now, full transparency, back in the day, I wasn't even using Acuity. I would manually find an agreeable time with a client via email or over the phone. I would then create a Zoom link, send it back to them. I would send them my phone number if they couldn't log into the Zoom, and there was so much back and forth until I reminded myself that a big benefit of using HoneyBook is that you actually can use their native scheduler right here. So what you're looking at is the back end of the scheduler. If you've ever used Acuity or Calendly, it's very similar in setup nature. I can create a new session, as simple as this. Sample, I can click the session type. So if it's a video session and it's a Zoom call, it actually will automatically generate the Zoom link and the information once the session is scheduled. You can actually integrate Zoom in the back end in the settings, and it just does it for you, which is super great. I can then find my time zone, set the duration. I could say that I want folks to be able to book maybe 2 months out. I can pick a color. I can then also say that if this is, let's have it be a sample like mini session. So I'm a photographer, I'm doing like a mini session. It's 30 minutes, like headshots. And I want people to be able to book between now and 2 months from now, because who knows, maybe I'm going to be on vacation in month 3. I can select to use the meeting date as the project date. Remember inside of the workspace where it showed the project name, the project type, and then a date? I can say that if this type of session is booked, we want the project date inside the workspace to reflect this date. This is super important because maybe there's a handful of different types of sessions that you book with a client, right? The use case for me as a designer would be a free discovery call Now that wouldn't really be the start of a project. I might have that discovery call and then figure out that my clients need a done in a day HoneyBook solution or a logo project that's going to start 2 months from now. I'd rather have the project date reflect one of those options as opposed to the discovery call. So HoneyBook gives you that flexibility to make sure that any of your automations or interactive fields are accurate. For the purposes of this sample, I'll click on this. You can then have instructions. So you could say, please remember to bring your smiles, right? You can include any information that will help invitees to be prepared for the session. You can then send out email or text message reminders. I do a standard day in 1 hour. Then you set your availability. For me, I just pick the day and time window. So let's say I don't want to do any mini sessions on Monday. I can remove it. Let me actually select remove and then hit save. I then applied it to all the Mondays moving forward, right? So what I like to do is set the parameters in here. And then I don't like to worry about things week to week because HoneyBook allows you to integrate with Google Calendar or another calendar software. So for me, I set the big windows such as I, want to be able to book mini sessions on, let's say, Tuesdays and Thursdays between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. That's all I do. I don't go in here and change my availability week to week. All I would do is go into my calendar. For me, I use Google, and then say that I'm away for, next week, as date I'm recording this, January 29th through February 4th, I would mark myself as busy, and these options would not show up for the client. So it's super easy to just set the window parameters inside of HoneyBook and then allow your actual calendar to dictate your availability. So speaking of availability, we're allowed to actually set buffers like the amount of time that we want to block off for clients, minimum notice, aka you can't book a call with me day of. It has to be at least 24 hours in advance, right? So we might want to change this to, 1 day. Custom increments, aka what people see, 30-minute, 5-minute, etc. And are any team members allowed to be scheduled into this session? Next is confirmations, all pretty standard. So we can hit save, and then this generates a live link. Now I can actually click this and send this to a lead that I met at a networking event. I can text them this link. I can have this be the button that exists on my Squarespace website. I could also send this in an email out to some past clients and say, hey, I'd love to reconnect. And now they have the session link. A project will be initiated once an action has been taken. So they don't only have to enter into your world through a contact form, they could actually schedule a session with you and it would still operate the same way. That scheduled session would trigger the workspace to be created, right? Super cool. I love the HoneyBook scheduler feature. You can also see your calendar inside of HoneyBook right here. And if you ever need to make any changes, let's click this one. I can edit it. I can also, change the name, hit update. I can also come back to it and delete it. And then I can also notify the client or not notify the client. Super helpful. All right, so next up, I want to walk through templates. Now that we've gotten folks into our pipeline, a workspace has been created. Can I speak today? A workspace has been created. We had our discovery call. Now what do? We need to send an invoice or a proposal, or better yet, a contract. So let's walk through smart files and templates now. All right, so in order to create a template inside of HoneyBook, you can either create one by clicking on this new button. You can also navigate to Tools, Templates, or you could also be inside of a workspace and then select the new button on Invoice, and then it would give you the opportunity to create whatever smart file you wanted. Let's look at what smart files actually look like, shall we? I'm going to show a very standard design proposal template that I use for my clients. So once I've actually met with a client and we've agreed that, they most likely want to work with me, I click on the proposal template, customize a couple quick elements, and send it over within minutes. Now, this is the template that I'm editing, so I'm not going to change anything, but I put in any blanks in here so that I can come in and further customize. But basically how smart files are set up, is you have this like what you see is what you get visual builder here. And then on the right side, you're able to see the different pages. So I had this like intro page, I have the estimate and advance. I also have contract pages, the payment, and then next steps, such as like onboarding, things to know, etc. So you basically are able to build a multi-step experience for clients to work through inside of one singular file. Right, so smart files could be just an invoice. They could also be an invoice and contract, invoice contract payment, all that good stuff. It could even be a brochure that people service select, and then the invoice is auto-generated, which is pretty freaking cool. Now, you're able to preview the templates, use the template, aka apply it to an existing project, create the smart file. What that's going to do is take the template that exists and now apply it to that project, right? So now it's already in the workspace. So without me actually doing anything, let me click back into that workspace and see what's happened. Okay, recent activity. Not only did I cancel our previous session, but I also started a draft file, aka my proposal, and I can see that here. Now, the really cool thing is that similar to how you could see whether someone read your email in the activity feed, you can also see what pages were viewed. So you can know if someone never opened the file, if they looked at the invoice and the contract but never took an additional step. You can also see what actions have been taken. So within my proposal, there are, 2 actions, or technically 3. They can pay and view the invoice, right? 1 or 2. Then we have the contract actually signing. So I can actually see these like radio buttons mark where they are in the process, which is super helpful. You can start files, have them be drafts. You can come back into them at any time. They save in real time. You'll notice that if any changes are made, in the top left, you'll be able to see that all changes have been saved, which is super helpful. You can customize colors through this entire builder, make sure it's on brand. You can create, again, estimates, invoices. Within my next steps, I could add in, some sort of a questionnaire. I could have folks upload a mood board. They could watch a video where I'm walking them through some next steps. Again, I could even include a scheduler here for them to schedule their next session. So let's say this was a client who was a logo design client, and I wanted to have our initial strategy session take place once the payment has been received. I could include that inside of the smart file. What I could also do later on, talking about automations, is set up an automation that once the payment has been received or that deposit, that triggers an automation, aka my next step, whether it's onboarding, booking a call, what have you. So smart files are pretty limitless, and I love that you are able to really customize them to fit your business. Now, don't worry if you're like, whoa, Matthew, I am not a designer. I would totally struggle with that. HoneyBook has your back, and they have included, I want to say hundreds, but maybe it's not that many. They have a whole template gallery based on type of service and industry, or you could search based off of, let's say I'm a floral designer and I want to send over an invoice proposal. I could click on invoices and, oh, look at that. There's one that's already stylized as floral. Just a note, don't choose a file based on the look and feel. You can fully customize it to fit your brand and your niche. It's very similar to Squarespace templates, that it's just a diving off point to really help you get started faster. But the thing I want to point out is this. You're able to see basically the purpose of the file in this description, but more than that, you can see that, okay, well, this one includes service selection. So folks could click on, let's say it's like an elopement floral package versus a full 2-day wedding package. They could click on whichever service they want. HoneyBook would auto-generate the invoice and the contract and allow people to make that payment. There's also other versions of invoices in here that are just an invoice and a payment. I use this for a lot of my clients who there may be some smaller projects month to month where they've already signed a contract to initiate business with me, and I just need to send them this simple invoice for them to make a payment. You could also look at brochures. Again, so maybe it's so people could look at your services and click on what they're interested in and then schedule a session with you. Pretty freaking cool. And I love that you can actually search via industry. So if I was a baker, I could click on bakery and desserts, and I could click through a handful of templates that fit within my industry. Now, definitely take some time to explore all that Smart Files have to offer. I love being able to look at templates and really gather inspiration of, ooh, I would love to do this. Ooh, that probably wouldn't work for my business. And just know that the Smart File Builder is totally customizable to meet you where you're at in your business and your goals. Okay, so now that we walked through the Smart File Builder, let's head on over to another aspect of templates, which are emails. Earlier, I talked about how one of my favorite features inside of HoneyBook is the scheduler. And while that is definitely still true, a top contender or a close second would be the email templates feature, or canned emails. You access the emails templates from the exact same place that you access Smart Files. So I'm going to click on emails, and then I'm going to sort A to Z. What I'm showing you here is actually how I organize my canned emails. So first of all, you're probably like, Matthew, why do I need a canned email? If you're like me, you probably have run into countless client interactions where you're saying the same thing. And if you're repeating yourself, you might as well create templates that you can implement inside of a software like HoneyBook. Now, you may even have these already inside of a Google Doc living somewhere that you copy and paste and then further customize. Well, HoneyBook takes it one step further. Let's look at one of the email templates now. So this is a email booking link. So let's say I didn't have any automation set up in my business and people submitted in a contact form. I could send back this email to a client and it would automatically put in their client name. What we're looking at here is a smart field. Now, it's different from a smart file. The smart file is the whole thing, but a smart field is something like the client name, the client last name, the client's project date, the project type, right? So remember, I was using the example of if I was a floral designer and it was either between, like, people can hire me for elopement design or like full wedding package. This could say something like, "Hi Danielle, thanks for your interest in working together. I'm super excited to learn more about your elopement," right? Or "I'm super excited to tell you more about the wedding package that I have to offer. Let's hop on a 20-minute discovery call over Zoom. Here's the link to grab some time with me," right? Now, how do I actually apply this email? It's super simple. If we go back into, let's go into a project. Okay, so let's pretend that someone sent me an email and I wanted to send back a message to them. All I do is click on templates and I have access to all of my emails. So the one that I had sent previously was a response to someone that inquired about my services. Now, in this email example, the subject is myself, so that's why it says Matthew, but this would auto-populate from whatever information they inputted inside of the contact form. Let's look at another one. Let's say that a client was late to a discovery call. I basically just have an email right here that says, "Is now still a good time?" So I can now send them that message. Let's also say that I'm actually working with people and my process follows a pretty linear path. And let's say I'm sending them the concepts to review. Boom, here it is. So I actually like to send files via like a link on my Google Drive, like it's a bigger PDF. So instead of attaching it, I just include a link here. I remind them of our upcoming, Zoom call to review, as well as information that they should consider at this stage in the game. And notice how again, there's that smart field that has been customized to this project. Now again, you can actually add in a handful of smart fields pertaining to date, project type, and other information. I just love how fast and easy it is to reply back to clients in a way that is streamlined, but also fully customizable. So let's say I realized I actually don't need to say all of this because I already told them on a previous call. Or let's say it just wouldn't make sense for this client, right? I can totally customize it and then hit send. What I can also do is, let's say I'm burning the midnight oil Are you guilty of that? I know I am. And let's say I wanted to send a email about, let's say it's like the next round or something, or let's pick a better one here. This message, let's say that, a client no-showed to my call and I wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to book with me again. Let's say it was, 11 at night. Don't tell my clients. And I wanted to schedule send. I have the ability to do it right inside of HoneyBook. So I can do a custom date and say I want to send it tomorrow. And I want to send it at, let's do 9:30 a.m. I can then hit send later. Super freaking cool. It will tell me that it's, on the docket, it's in the outbox, so to speak, and it will be sent at the date and time that I have suggested. Inside of the email builder, same thing with the email templates. You have the ability to change, the weight and thickness of the type, color, all that good stuff, have bulleted lists, add in those smart fields like we mentioned. Again, project date, time, all that stuff. You could include session links for calls, your signature, share vendor recommendations, and so much more. What I like to do is also organize my email templates. So if you noticed at the beginning of this section, my emails have like numbers and letters and emojis to help indicate where in my pipeline or my client flow this particular client is. It just makes searching for emails that much faster and really helps me get to my next thing that much quicker. Okay, so we've been talking about how someone gets into your pipeline, creating the, scheduled sessions, maybe sending over a proposal, but what if I didn't want to do those steps manually? What if I wanted to automate the process? Well, that's where the power of automations comes into play. So let's head on over and look at that right now. Okay, so let's take a look behind the scenes at what makes automations inside of HoneyBook so powerful. Now, you can set up an automation that has one step, or you can set up automations that have many steps. I'm going to show you one that's somewhere in the middle. Now, I use automations specifically to reduce steps such as automatic replies, follow-ups, or onboarding, offboarding within my business. Let's take a peek at one that is specifically designed when folks book a 50-minute one-on-one coaching call with me. What we're looking at here is essentially the automation workflow. There's a start and then there's an end. Now, as you can see, I have 4 steps inside of my automation. This first step here, I've decided to send an email when something happens. So once Danielle books their 50-minute call with me, this will wait 15 minutes and then send this congratulatory, here's what to prep before our call, reminder that you'll receive a Zoom link, etc., etc. And that's going to send 15 minutes after they booked their session with me. Then fast forward to whenever that session occurs, whether it's next week or next month, 5 minutes after our coaching session comes to a close, I'm going to send them a request for a testimonial. Now, for me in my business, I actually use testimonials as a way to gauge how I'm serving my clients. So it's more of like a performance review and less of a, give me 5 stars on Google. So I send them a link to complete a survey that's within like Google. I can then always customize this later, but not only just sending emails to folks, because that's really what I use automations for, but you can also create a task inside of your workspace. You can send smart files, you can send a brochure, you can move someone to a next pipeline stage. I could also send them a file, such as sending a brochure to have them review my services before our intro discovery session. I could create a task, such as create folder in Drive, right? And I want to have this happen once the first payment is made, right? So for my logo design business, when someone makes their initial deposit, I then want to create a folder inside of my Google Drive, and I want to be reminded automatically through automation to complete that task. And that task would show up in my dashboard on the homepage, as well as inside that specific client workspace. Now, quick note, You can also marry automations with zaps in your business, but that's a whole other video for another day. So let's say that I wanted to send some offboarding, so I can send an email 1 month after our work is completed to check in with the client. I could also send an email 6 months later. You really are the one that sets up the parameters for how you want to engage with your end user through automation. And again, automations can be simple and one step, or they could be much more robust and about 20 steps further. The big caveat that comes with automations is go slow in the beginning. Well, before you build out a 20-step automation, make sure that you have the data to prove that that automation should exist, right? The automation that you're looking at right now with my onboarding email and offboarding emails only came after working with about a dozen clients. And I said, you know what? I keep noticing that I send the same email to this person, right? Or I keep noticing that at point X in my process, Y needs to happen. That's when an automation is super helpful. However, that doesn't mean you can't get started with automations right now. You can get started by just sending an automatic email reply, right? That either sends them a link to book a call with you or to access a smart file. So definitely take a peek around automations and see which direction you could take triggers and how it could benefit your business. So coming up next, I'm going to shift gears and show a little bit more of the back-end settings and branding opportunities inside of HoneyBook. One of the first places you want to invest some time when you're setting up your HoneyBook is your company settings. In particular, your company brand settings. This is where you can set up the name of your company, add in your contact information, and more importantly, your brand elements, and really get an understanding for the look and feel of the brand experience you get to create inside of HoneyBook. Now again, HoneyBook allows you to completely white label this experience. Many of my clients have no concept that HoneyBook even exists, but rather they log into my client portal, HoneyBook, and then receive a completely on-brand experience from start to finish, right? Whether they're booking that initial intro call or sending feedback to me, they are completing some offboarding steps or submitting a testimonial. Most clients, all they see is my brand front and center. Now, you're not only able to add in some colors and images, but also completely update the company theme, which makes smart file creation or any other file creation a breeze because you can automatically apply your company smart file theme settings to that smart file. Definitely take advantage of updating your company brand settings as well as your email signature. These are things that you're going to be utilizing all the time inside of HoneyBook, so definitely take care to set these up in the beginning. You can also toggle through and customize your preferences, whether you want to receive, notifications or reminders, what you want your clients to receive. There's also some really powerful integrations. So you can integrate Zoom, Google Calendar, etc. You can also totally customize your domain name and portal. So again, my clients sign in to my client portal and it feels like my website, right? So you don't even, again, need a website if you're just starting your business. You could use HoneyBook to get things up and running without Squarespace, without Webflow, without anything right out of the gate. Get clients, get organized first with HoneyBook. Again, you can have the, oh my gosh, I can't even speak. You have the integrations. You can also add in team members, right? So I can add some multiple team members. My virtual assistant can be able to help out. You can also access your bank details, which is super important, right? You want to make sure that your HoneyBook is connected to your bank so that you can get paid. Again, HoneyBook helps you from hey to pay. So we want to make sure that you add in your bank detail information. There's also some really important tax information that HoneyBook will send you end of year, which is an independent business owner, is super helpful. So definitely poke around throughout company settings, apply your branding, make sure that you have your preferences set accordingly, and really make sure that you have fine-tuned the back end of HoneyBook so that the front end can be a beautiful, clear, and cohesive experience for your clients. And that completes our tour of HoneyBook. I really hope that you found today's video helpful. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up, comment below. If any questions arose throughout this video, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. And again, don't forget that you have access to a special discount code below in the description or linked somewhere up here that gives you a special discount off of your first year inside of HoneyBook, as well as that 7-day free trial. So don't take my word for it. Test out the software. Now that you've kind of gotten an understanding of its capabilities, I would definitely recommend signing up, give it a test drive, and see if it's in alignment for you and your business.